G'day. We're going to be looking at how to create a short-term plan for your rugby company, remembering that the purpose of a business is to make money. So, what I have for you here is Athens, which is my team. And as you may notice by the bottom worksheets in Excel, there's been a number of changes. Okay, there's been 4 teams that have ceased operations at the end of the 2048 season. Okay, and there's free agents, which one team has already taken advantage of thus far. And these are players that you can acquire, which you don't have to trade anything in return. This league will not take. It's another league that exists independent of the PRU. They've taken on some of the players that these teams dumped at the end, and you can purchase them if you have the money. So if you have the ability and willingness to do so. Okay, and so we're going to be looking at how to set up a SWOT analysis for your company using my short-term plan for next season worksheet. So as you can see here, I have my company, and I've set it up in such a way that I can see the strengths, weaknesses of my team, and therefore take advantage of opportunities and threats that relate to my company. So I've copied and pasted my information for next season here. So their ages for next season, their skill level next season. These are my starters. I've colored my bench in differently, and I've colored my reserves in differently. So when I transfer them to this part, I'm able to see them clearly. And we're going to do this with a bot team after we examine what are the strengths and weaknesses of my company. Okay, so I've put all the props together, and again, if you don't know, just a reminder that props should be a level, you should have 4 props on your company. Okay, and if you don't, no big deal, but you should be aware of that. Okay, and so I have my props, I have 3 hooks, I have 4 locks, I should have 6 8-man flankers. I actually have 9, so I've noted that by noting, hey, I have extras here. I should have 4 scrum halves, fly halves. Hey, I'm short 1, so I've made a note of that here. I should have 4 centers. Hey, I'm short 1, so I've made a note of that here. And I should have 6 fullbacks, wings. I'm short 1. And in addition to that, I also have color coordination for if they could retire, if they cannot be traded to a bot team, if they've been trained last season, that also is noted there, as well as players I wish to train, and based on my inflow of cash, or my cash that's on hand, who I can train. Okay? Now, I'm not going to be working on all of this for my company, but I just want to sort of go through why I've set it up like this, looking at the strengths and weaknesses of my team. So when I first got my team, my first concern was putting good players on the field. I mainly had 50 and level 60 players on the field, and my team was really horrible. Okay, since then I've improved it drastically, and so instead of just focusing on the strengths and weaknesses of my starters, I'm actually going to focus on the strengths and weaknesses of my starters and my bench players. Okay, I don't really have the cash right now to really worry about my reserves. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on. For your company, you might decide I'm going to focus on my starters, and then some of the rest of you might focus on all of your players, so your starters, bench, and reserves, just because you might be sitting on like $4 million, or 4 million euros, I mean, sorry. Okay? But we're going to focus on this. So I'm looking at this team and I'm going, okay, my lowest player is an 82 of my starters. Okay, that's not bad. But how does that relate? Now, if I have all 90s, well, that's horrible. If I have all 70s, well, that's really good. So it's all relative to everything else. So I look at hooks, 84. Okay, so that's the lowest thus far. So that's the first player I want to fix if everybody else is higher than 82 in my starters and reserves. I go here. Oh, wait a second. This guy's 81. Okay. I might want to do something about that. I go here. Whoa, this guy's 78. Okay. Maybe I want to do something about that. But notice, I want to train this player. So trading him might not be the option. He's not that old. He is getting old, so I will want to train him soon. But I want to sort of train him, make some money off of him, and then sell him to a bot team probably in the 2050 season, knowing me. Okay. So I may want to buy, although I have a lot of flanks, and maybe this is not my worst position. So let's keep going. I got a level 82 here. That's not so bad. 83, 76. Yee. Okay, I really should take care of this. In addition to that, I'm short a fullback wing, so definitely I should be buying somebody. And so that's going to be my priority. That is the biggest weakness of my company. In addition to the fact where, again, I have two players in the 60s, I should also be aware of that. So those are my two biggest weaknesses. The fact that I have a 76, the fact that I have two 66, and I have a 78 there. Let's do this for your company. So I've chosen to do it based on Camelot. And so let's show you how to do this. So you need to go to the Google Classroom page. You need to click on the so again, how do you get there? It's under PRU resources right at the very top. You need to click on here. You'll notice it talks about all the free agents that you can purchase. The news column is here. Here are the rules. Here's the information on training. Now, you might say, sir, I can't get access to all this information. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to connect to Google Sheets, and I'll be working in Google Sheets with you, which is basically the same as Excel. There are a few differences when copying and pasting values, but I'll go through that if you're working with Excel, but basically everything else is the same. So let's go to Camelot. The first thing I want to do is organize Camelot's page. Okay, so anybody in red is not going to be on my team next season, so let's get rid of them. Okay. In addition to that, anybody in brown has been traded from this team, so let's get rid of them. And you'll notice this is automatically changing the formulas in here. Now, in some cases, it will change it incorrectly. In some cases, you will get reference errors. We're not going to worry about that until the very end. Okay? So we've done all that. The next thing I want to do is take all the information from these columns. Now, please do not copy and paste, because if you do that, let's say you have 88 here and 83 here. Okay? So I go Control X, I go Control V. Well, this player's worth nothing now. Please don't do that. You have to do it manually one at a time. I've pressed Control Z to sort of get rid of this incorrect information. So I'm going to press Control X. I'm going to click on this cell, go Control Y, and I'm going to do that for each and every one where next season their skill levels are going to be more. Now, I know what you're saying, sir, you haven't changed the age. I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute. Let's just get everybody onto this page. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy, which is Control X in this case, because we want to delete the information after we've pasted, and Control V, paste. Now, you'll notice that reference error. Reference does not exist. Don't worry about it. We're going to fix it later. Okay? Again, Control X, Control V, more reference errors. Some of this information is definitely incorrect. No big deal. We're going to worry about this again later. And so, first thing I want to do, now you don't need to do this here. Okay? It may be easier for you to do it on the actual team page, but at some point you're going to want to do this so that you can sort of organize where things are. Okay? Because at some point you're going to want to figure out who's a reserve, who's a starter, and who's a reserve, who's a starter, who's a bench. So I think it's better you do it here, but you may decide to do it on the short-term plan page, which is SDP. Okay, I'm going to do it here. Hopefully that's okay for you. So I'm going to start putting in positions. So I'm going to Control X, Control V. I'm going to move these guys down, so Control X, Control V, and put the other hook, because I only have two from what I can see there. I have another prop here. Now he is Bannerman is better than Smith, but not as good as this person over here. So I'm going to Control X, Control V, Control X, Control V. And I'm constantly going to be doing this until I've updated my whole team page. I have a level 85 here, so I'm not going to copy him because he's probably going to go in my bench or possibly my starters. Okay, and so I'm going to keep moving information around. Control X, Control V, Control X, Control V, until I have room. Now you might be looking at this and going, whoa, I don't have enough room here. Well, a level 85 is better than a level 65, but you really want to have a hook in your bench. Okay, you kind of want to have four what are known as front positions and four back positions. The front or the pack positions, as they're sometimes also referred to, are props, hooks, locks, flanks, and eights, while the back positions are scrum half, fly half, center, wing, and fullback. Okay, so we're going to remove this person from the bench. We're going to put him down there. And then we are going to Control X, Control V, and Control X, Control V. And let's fix this. Senan is going to Control X, Control V, Control X, Control V. Okay, great. So we've done this. We still need to fix these references, and we still need to fix the ages for next season, because these ages are what they are this season. Now we can manually change this. That's going to take long. That's prone to errors. Let's stick in a formula. So in this row, I'm going to put in equals sum, and you can see my formula here. Okay, and then I'm going to click. Now, whenever you're doing formulas, you really don't want to. Oh, and I forgot the open bracket. Sorry. Whenever you're doing formulas, you really don't want to use your mouse that much. So you use it as little as possible. In this case, I want to do that. So I'm going to click this. So I'm saying whatever the age is for this player, I'm going to add 1. That's what the +1 is for. Okay? So equals sum, cell B10, +1, and then I press the Enter key. Now it's going to suggest I auto-fill. I'm never a big fan of auto-correct, auto-anything, because sometimes the computer thinks you want to do something you don't want to do. So I'm going to ignore that for now, although that is what I wanted to do. Okay, you see this little square button? I'm going to click and drag it all the way down. And I'm going to let go. And as you can see, it's filled in for me all the ages. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to get rid of these 1s. Okay. And I am going to copy. In this case, I'm going to Control C. And I'm going to click on this cell, but I'm going to right click on it. So I use my right mouse button, click, and it says, do I want to paste? No, I don't want to paste. If I paste, I'm going to have a problem. Okay? A reference error. So I don't want to paste. Instead, what I want to do is I want to Control C, copy, and I want to right click, and I want to paste values only. I want to paste special, values only. And you notice right away it's changed the ages. So this was a 28, now it's a 29. And then from there I need to get rid of these players. Okay? Please realize if you're using Excel and not Google Sheets, it works a little bit differently. Okay? Again, so I put in the Excel equals sum, that +1, and I scroll down. Now, if you use Control X for this, I believe in Google Sheets you can use Control X, but what will happen is the paste special won't come up if you use it. Okay, now it will use it if you do Control C. Okay, and plus also in Excel you have the little icon, so I can press values, and as you can see, it's changed. Oops. It's changed the values. So I press Control C, I right click, you have this little icon, and you paste special. Okay, but that's for Excel. We're not working with Excel right now because some of you don't have access to it. Okay, so I've changed the ages, I've updated my players, all the incoming are gone. The last thing I need to do is make sure these references make sense. Okay, and I actually don't need to do this right now, but at some point you will. So might as well do it right now. Assuming I have not changed anything about this top player, I can literally highlight all of these, take the square down button, and scroll, like pull down and copy all. And it'll fix the formulas for all. Now let's say one of the players I did mess around with was the first player. But let's say I didn't change anything with the third player. I can go Control C, Control V. It'll copy the information. Okay, so as you can see there, okay, this player was $750,000 value. Okay, they still are a $750,000 value. Okay, and so that information is correct, and then from there you would again copy all the way down with that square button, and you're good to go. Okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to copy this to the STP file. So you're going to select all of this. Okay. You're going to press Control C, not Control X, please. If you press Control X, all of this information will disappear, and you will lose all the information on your team file. Okay, so you've pressed Control C once you've selected it all. You go to STP. Let's get rid of my ugly team. Control V. And one other thing you may, or you probably should do, is let's go back and let's get our cache. Because cache for this team is different, or for your team will be different from Athens. Okay. So we have this information now. Next thing I want to do is I want to highlight, and I want to change the color. Okay, and I'm going to change it to the lighter green, and then likewise I want to change this to the darker green, so that when I'm manipulating this information or looking at this information in this section, I can tell, am I dealing with the starter, am I dealing with the bench, or am I dealing with the reserve? One other thing I really should be doing is, can the player retire this season? I should be denoting that. And so what I like to do is I like to have a lighter red, so I have that option here. And so any player that can retire, now this player can't retire, it's 34 and older, I'm going to be updating that. Okay, so I'm going to look through this and update this so that when I copy and paste the information over, I'm good. Now, I know for some of you who know macros and if formulas and stuff like that, you can actually do it so it'll do it automatically in Excel. Again, I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible because some people who are looking at this have never used Excel before. And so I'm going to keep it simple. Okay, that orange is a little too dark. That orange is a little too light. And again, you might want to custom this to taste. But anyways, any player that I can't trade with a bot. Okay. Oh, wait. The 30 I can trade this season. Never mind. Okay. I'm going to highlight in orange. Okay. And I apologize. You might want to fast forward if you find what I'm doing a little bit slow. Okay. But I'm literally going to manually do this for all my old players. Now, as you can see, if I'm Camelot, I have quite a few concerns when you compare this team to, say, my team, because a lot of their starters are going to retire in a few seasons, and that is a huge threat. One other thing I would strongly advise you to do is highlight these. Okay, what color you choose for that, I don't know. I'm just going to choose like a purple. Okay, and even that, I might decide to change it later on to something else. Maybe I use a brown. Here's a brown. Maybe I use that. I'm trying to find some color which will be quite different from everything else. Yeah, I think I'll use that. Okay, and so all the 30-year-olds. Now, why am I highlighting the 30-year-olds? This off-season is the last time you can trade them to a bot team. And so these, right off the bat, are a priority to dump. Why are you going to hang on to a player that's going to continually lose value and then eventually retire? Okay, that costs your company money. And so for these 30-year-olds, this is the last season a bot team will take them just because of how the rules are set up. And so you want to dump these players now. Now, this is a bot, so... But if they weren't, if this was your team. So we're going to start copying and pasting this information. So we're going to do all the props first. That way we don't get confused. So I'm going to go down the list. Here's another prop. Okay, I'm not necessarily doing them in order. Okay, so you'll see this is 84, this is 85. No big deal. Let me just get all the props, just in case I've put anybody in the wrong position. Okay. So, and there's no more props here, and then we have 2 props here. We're going to copy, we're going to paste that. And you may need to move some of this information down. So you may decide, hey, Control X, Control Y, because, well, I have this extra prop, which I really don't need here. Okay. Oh, and I probably really should get rid of this information as well. So let's change that to a white, and then let's delete the information there. And same with this information. Let's change this to a white or a clear, and let's delete the information there. Okay. So I have my props. Let's do my hooks now. And we're going to do this for every position. And so this will take a while. Again, if you find this a little bit, how'd you say, boring, you might want to fast forward. As you can see, this team only has 2 hooks, though. So I'm going to delete this information here, and then I'm going to color this yellow to denote, hey, I really should have a 3rd hook. Because if these 2 players get injured, there's no other player that can take over that can do a good job. Like, I can stick in a prop, and they'll be good at certain things in relation to this because hooks are usually props, but they'll be missing some information. Okay, they'll be missing some skills, which will make them, even though they're a level, this might be a level 79, at hook they might be a level 73 because they're missing certain skills. Okay, if that makes sense. Let's continue. We're going to do our locks. And as I said, we're going to do this for every single position. And you may find in certain cases where a reserve is higher than a bench player, or a bench player is higher than a starter, or a reserve is better than a starter. You need to notify me, the PRU commissioner. Please change these positions. Okay, the sim will probably automatically do that for you, but at the same time, you really should notify me to make that change. Okay, and so this also helps you organize your team, which again, remember when you're running a team, you want to plan, which that's what we're doing right now. You want to organize, which is what you're doing, and then eventually you want to lead. Okay, these free agents are not going to be here forever. Other teams will take advantage. We already have one. I must have deleted that, but there's already one. Oh wait. Oh, this is older than. There's already one player that's been, if we look at the Excel file, I think that's a little more updated. Smirnov is gone. Okay. And so you're going to want to take advantage of that. Okay. And then you need to be controlled, which, again, if we're looking at this, let's say, like for my team, for instance, if I were to have stopped, because these are still Athens players, I haven't updated that. If I had stopped and just said, okay, I need a better player for Podden, I would have missed this information. Okay. But anyhow, enough of me sort of yammering on about this. Let's get all this info. Oops, I forgot to do 8. Did I do 8s yet? No, I still have Podden there. Okay, let's do my 8s flankers. Okay, so I'm going to copy paste. Again, looking for more 8s and flankers. Okay, and you may want to delete this information if there's too much so you don't accidentally include somebody who's on my team, for instance. So you may want to just say, okay, yeah, you know what, I'm going to delete this information because just with me going back and forth, I don't want to skip a position and make a mistake. Okay, and so that's something else I would suggest you do. Okay, I just kind of kept those on for examples I was going to show later on, so. Okay, again, I only need 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to put a yellow highlight here, and I'm going to, actually I can just sort of copy and paste and get rid of the color schemes there. Okay, let's do scrum half, fly half. I believe that's the next, yes. Okay, so we're going to copy and paste. Let's look for more scrum half, fly halves. There are no more there. And I have 2 more here. Great. I need my centers next. Center fullback, those are rare. That guy must be a very good player. And I have those. Notice I have 1 additional center. So I'm going to denote that. That means I really shouldn't be buying centers. I really shouldn't be buying props. I really shouldn't be buying eights unless I'm dumping them because there's other positions where I'm short. Okay, and then likewise, I'm going to copy and paste, give myself some room, and then I'm going to do my fullbacks and wings. So here's one wing. Here's another wing and fullback. Here's a ton more wings and fullbacks. And I even have one more at the bottom. Okay, and then again, I only need 6 of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which means that these two are extra. Okay, and you might say, oh, whoa, whoa, hold on a second. You got an 81 who's not an extra, an 85 who is. Well, we can fix that later. Okay. So this is my team. So now I can sort of start making planning. I have $3.5 million. I can train a lot of people. I can power train. Unlike Athens. Athens doesn't have the money to power train, but this team does if they were a real team. So I can sort of look, and the first thing I would look at is go, okay, with my cash flow, I should be worried. Well, the first thing I want to be worried about is my starters. Okay, because this team is a mess. I have level 60s continually throughout the team. That's something I didn't have to worry about with Athens. So let's worry about my starters first, because even though this team does have more money, this team's kind of a mess. So maybe we'll start there. So how good are my starters? So I got 85. I got a 73. That's a good player. He's a young player. But I'm short one. So maybe if this team is smart, they have the money, they go out, they check out that free agent column, and they go, okay, well, I got the money. Okay, and so maybe I pick up this guy. He's only 1.4 million. I have the cash for him. Why not? Okay, and so that would be right away something I'm looking at. But we haven't finished looking at our team. But this is definitely a concern. In the starters, 73, that's horrible. Because what you have is you have a very strong link, you have a very strong link, and you have a okay link. And in a chain, well, that's the first one that's going to be broken. That's a problem. Let's look at some of my other starters, though. Okay, so I have a 78. This is also concern. Okay. Let's keep going. 86. I don't really have a concern here in terms of skill. I do have that with age, but that's something I'll deal with later. 87, 97. Yeah, I'm not really worried about that. 80s. Okay. So I've identified a number of concerns, and I may want to denote this. How I've been denoting it is by saying, okay, you know what? I'm going to change not only the color there, but there. So this sort of tells me these are the first two positions I need to deal with. Okay, so I have my black and my white. Okay, and especially in this case, I'm going to deal with the hooks first. And so if I'm a company, I'm going to look at the free agents. I might look at the bot teams as well, so go to an ace. Maybe they have another team, but you know what? Let me just look at the free agents. Hey, we got a level 88 here. He's 23. He's 1.4 million. I have the cash for it. That brings me down to about 2.1 million. Sure, why not? Or maybe there's somebody who's a little bit less, because I don't want to spend my money all at once. So let me look down. Okay, and just sort of looking at it in terms of skill level. Okay, so I have this person, so I might take shearing instead. Okay, are there any other hooks? Okay, oh, we got one here. This is a level 72. Okay, that's kind of... Okay, are there any others? There's a few 80s here, but they're older. I don't want to deal with an old player. And so, realistically, I'm probably going to get this player or this player. Which, realistically, I'm probably going to get the younger one because he costs less. And so I'd send a deal in for him, and now all of a sudden, that once I acquire that, then I would push these two down. This guy all of a sudden becomes a bench. This person all of a sudden becomes a reserve, and that other player would now be a starter. And then I can deal with this. And you have to deal with things one asset at a time. Okay? And so that way you're able to take care of your threats and take advantage of opportunities by knowing what your strengths and weaknesses are. I hope this video helps you. If you have any questions, let me know. Feel free to pause it at places while you work on these things. And yeah, remember, you're running a business that happens to play rugby. You're not running a rugby company. And the purpose of business is to make money. Thanks for watching. Later.